A very good morning. After the first session, and I want to congratulate all the speakers and you present and those who are online for having been so patient to listen to us. But again, we try to supply possibility to help you in growing your business and let you make more money. And this is, the bottom line. And I want to express my deep appreciation for the cooperation that we have with different organizations, such as the World Diamond Council, Responsible Jewelry Council, Watch and Jewelry Initiative, Natural Diamond Council, Initiative for Arts and Culture, and so on. So thank you very much for that. I would like to introduce this gentleman, Mahiar, and for me is, let me consider one of my children. Not because he's very young, but because it has been and is a great pleasure seeing the caliber of people, managers, CEOs, presidents, like he has been during his career, which has been fantastic. Being here on behalf of the Beers, and we have also Feriel Zerouki, Vice President of the Beers, that he was so lucky to get married. Very lucky, he was lucky. Eh? She is very patient because I know the guy. But apart that, we are going now to make this incredible presentation, how is approached by the Beers the future of certainly a super leading companies, mining companies in the world. We all know the Beers in every single facet, if I could use this term, and I hand over to you.
Thank you, sir.
And listening to you with great attention. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much. Very special thanks to Dr. Cavalieri and the Cibjo group, so let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Oh, look, the presentation's up finally. Really nice to actually be here and speaking to you and also those who are watching online. I'm going to try and do this presentation in this way. If hopefully it works effectively. If it doesn't, please let me know. But you guys know my background and how much I love data and how much I love information and everything else. So we're going to start this presentation with something very, very simple, which are just some general mining facts and information. So I've already put the answer on the board, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. If you look at the entire world's surface, what percentage of it is actually mined? Yes. That is brilliant and the correct answer. Well done. Well done. See, there is a smart man in the room that definitely can show that he can read. But if you look at all of the green dots, that is pretty much the Earth. And if you look at that small little sliver on the bottom, the yellow sliver, that is how much of the world's Earth's land is actually mined. Now, if we take that overall, and we look at how much of that is actually diamond mined, how much mining we do in the diamond industry, that's, dare I ask, of that 0.00 667%. Can anyone tell me what percentage of that is diamond mine? Anyone? The doctor is correct, ladies and gentlemen. The doctor is correct. And that would be roughly about the little blue sliver over here of the yellow of the bigger green picture that we had shown. So if you think about how much is mined overall, it's a very, very, very small percentage of the world's surface. Yet, that percentage of the world's surface provides 41% of the world's global GDP. If you think about everything that's built, the cell phones that you're using, the camera, the internet connection, the cement, the walls, the buildings, everything that we live on is from that 0.0067% of the world. And if you think about it, it creates 41% of the world's GDP. Now, how about the diamond area and diamond facts? Botswana is our major mining partner country, and that's the country that we work very heavily in mining diamonds. Roughly about 30% of the GDP of Botswana are from diamonds. And if you think about a global aspect of how much diamond mining actually provides for the world, it provides 10 million jobs globally just in the diamond sector. So 10 million people's livelihoods depend on natural diamonds. So you can start appreciating what this really means, right? So then we start looking and transitioning over and thinking about what is a De Beers natural diamond? What does it stand for? De Beers' natural diamond supports the local communities, gives back to the planet, tells the natural diamond story. These are the things that I'm going to be talking about today. And it's a symbol of trust, sustainability, and ethical practices. You know, when we mine in any country, when we actually go into any country to start mining, what we look at is what makes sense there. What do we need to do to help support those communities? What do we need to do to actually be a part of those communities? And today, what I'm going to be talking about is some of that, and telling the stories of each of the different countries through my voice and through other people's voices that I digitally brought with me to help you guys actually appreciate what natural diamonds bring to the world that we are in. So, De Beers Group mine. Ooh. Hello. De Beers Group mines. How many mines do we have? We have 7 active mines. They're in Botswana, Namibia, Canada, and South Africa. We also have an area where we source rough diamonds in Sierra Leone called Gemfair, which I'll be talking about. But roughly we're about 33% of global market share of natural diamonds. That's how much we actually source diamonds around the world. So in a nutshell, that's De Beers. When I think about one of the things that we do in Botswana and why Botswana is so near and dear to our hearts, by the way, how many of you guys have been to Botswana here? Actually, that's pretty darn good. That's very nice. How many of you are site holders? Only one. So for the fact that so many people have been to Botswana and only one site holder, that's pretty darn good. And the rest of the site holders, I'll be wondering why you have not come. I'm looking at you. But I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of you guys in Botswana, because if you think about what natural diamonds provide for Botswana itself, first of all, we did talk about the fact of how much about 30% of the GDPs of Botswana are related to natural diamonds. But if you think about through the JV that we have with the government of Botswana, roughly about 80% of what's purchased in rough go back to the country of Botswana. So if you take that and translate it into polish, if you know the diamond that you've purchased is from Botswana, roughly about 60% of what you purchased for that natural diamond has already gone back to the country of Botswana. So what does that bring for the country of Botswana? Why is that important? Well, it helps the livelihoods of people in Botswana. As an American, I'm quite envious and jealous about some of the things that the Botswanan people actually have that I, as an American, don't. Free healthcare. Anyone? Europeans have free healthcare, so y'all don't have much to complain about. But, well, not all. But at the very least, what you can see is free education, free healthcare, roads, things that are necessities in Botswana have been actually brought into that country because of natural diamonds. So if I actually tell this story, you'd hear it from my voice. So I thought it's best to actually invite some other people to talk about the story of Botswana and what diamonds do for Botswana. So I'm going to have a few videos from various different countries. This one from Botswana. Can we have the voice? Sound?
Cool. Right here. With my mom and dad were working at the mine. So when I went...
Sorry, I'm going to start that video again because it's important for you to hear from the beginning. A little bit louder.
I went to school right here. With my mom and dad were working at the mine. So when I went to a teacher training college, my wish was to come back and work for the Botswana. How the mine is running the schools and supporting us, it is exciting. Our kids get to swim, our children go for music. We have a huge library that has computers as well as books. Better roads now. We've got better schools. Hospitals are where they should be. Diamond mining industry has propelled Botswana to what it is today.
I'm going to read this because I think it's important, and I have to read it because I want to get the words right. His Excellency, the President of Botswana, President Boko, actually recently said in an interview that buying a Botswana diamond represents your commitment to ethically sourced diamonds that have enabled Botswana to transform from one of the world's poorest nations into a beacon of socioeconomic success. If you realize what natural diamonds do for the world, and you realize the dependencies of what it means to various countries, you'd have a very, very loving approach to what natural diamonds can bring for you, for your relationship, for the people who are around you. And that's why I'm so proud of being a part of this and doing what we do. In Namibia, we looked at what's important in Namibia and where do we need to focus and what are the things that we need to do. Biodiversity is quite critical in that area, in that part of the world. We worked very closely with National Geographic here to actually look at the Okavango Delta and how to be able to keep a part of it untouched and making sure that the biodiversity there continues to exist. Yes, it brings a lot of tourism, it's beautiful, it's serene, but being able to take 4,000 square kilometers and keeping it as an area that's untouched and pristine is quite important for the country, for the people, but also for the endangered species that live around there. So it gives us the ability to really change the way that things are done in countries and in places around. And in fact, if you look at what we've done with Okavango Eternal, with National Geographic, there's some really wonderful things, because it's not just about keeping the biodiversity there and keeping things alive and making things serene and beautiful. It's about understanding what the population there wants, what they need. And again, instead of me telling you, what is it, that the people in that area and region need, I thought it's best to actually show a video to show you what they believe and what they say.
The first time when I caught a fish and brought it home, I felt like a hero. With fish, you get a chance to work directly with something that contributes to the livelihood of almost everybody here. Over the years, the stock along our rivers has been on the decline. We do have the reasons to believe that these small-sized fish are actually more nutrient-dense than the big ones. Farmers can put these fish in a pond, and then they reproduce, and then they can feed their own family. The support from National Geographic and the BIOS is enabling me to better understand these small-sized fish. The first time when I
Now, when we looked at South Africa, one of the challenges that the Southern African region has are rolling power outages and the need for more power and electricity. We're quite proud to have partnered with an organization to actually build the ability to create and generate power in South Africa, roughly about 520 megawatts. And if you think about what that means, that's roughly about 80% of the usage of a country like Namibia of electricity. Something that we're building because we know there's a need for it, not just for us as an organization, as a company, but also for the livelihood of the people who live in South Africa. This story is kind of near and dear to my heart because, as Dr. Cavalieri kindly said, I got to see it at firsthand. It wasn't that long ago. Gem Fair started out in 2018 or 2018. And it started out by Fariel Zerouki, whom I'm proud to actually call my wife. Lucky to have as my wife, 100% right. And I remember the concept in her head. I remember the explanation of what she wants to do with artisanal mining. I remember the passion that she had of why she went to Sierra Leone and why she started out the project in Sierra Leone. And if you think about it, to raise standards in artisanal mining, to actually bring fair prices to those people who are doing the artisanal mining, to create traceability using a great technology, which I'll touch on a bit later, called Tracer, and to create reclamation in an area that needs it. They're wonderful, wonderful things to experience. And I got to experience it at firsthand when I saw what Gem Fair has been able to accomplish in the past 5 to 6 years that it's been around. It's been quite humbling to actually see it. If you think about what it does, in very simple words, raises the standards, health, safety, etc., for artisanal miners. Those artisanal miners then can actually sell their diamonds at a value that is at what we would negotiate with governments of various different countries to pay for that rough, right? And then, in addition to that, we can actually give the story of that diamond, that artisanal miner, the person and the company and the people who have touched that diamond throughout the value chain using Tracer. And for the places where the diamond mining has stopped, well, it used to be very unsafe land. Imagine all these steep hills and holes and various things. How great would it be for a company to actually decide that we're going to work with the people of this land and cultivate it and allow them to have a different source of economic means to be able to live. They do rice fields, vegetables, fruits, various different things that they're cultivating in that land now. And not only they're feeding their families, they're able to now feed others and take those goods into the market and sell them. These are the stories of natural diamonds. These are the reasons why natural diamonds mean a great deal to someone like me. I wanted to talk about Canada because, yes, we do have some Canadians here. How about that? But the reason why I think it's important to talk about Canada is not just necessarily about how we mine. We had 3 mines in Canada. I had the pleasure of being at the opening of 2 of them many years ago. But how we close the mine. You know, when you open up a mine, it's all about celebrations and how wonderful things are and how great things are. And there's always this question of, well, what happens when you close a mine? Do you leave a hole and run away? No, we actually set aside money. We actually work with the government. We work with the people who live in that land to make sure that we take it back to what it's supposed to have been, right? In Canada, we've actually won an award for this and have been recognized for this. Why? Because we took the mine where we had diamond mining back to its original state. We've planted more than 1.4 million trees to grow in that area to take it back to its natural state. These are the true aspects of what natural diamonds do and why we care, not just for the fact that it's a natural diamond, but also because of the communities that allow us to be able to mine in those specific places. It's our job to make sure we do the right thing for them. Speaking of right things, now, there have been lots of fun stuff on social media about how lab-grown and natural diamonds are identical. Physically, do you all know what they actually use as wording? They are physically, chemically, and optically identical, yes? Now, we're in Vicenza, the heart of gold jewelry design and manufacturing and so on. Someone comes into your retail store or comes in and tries to sell you a chain of gold and says, hey, here's an 18-karat chain of gold. I'd like to sell it. What do? You test it. Who said that? Fantastic. Are you in gold? I could tell. You definitely do test it. Why do you test it? Because you want to find out what's the actual amount of gold that's within that product that's being sold. Now, first of all, you take a loop, you look at it. If there's a little thing that says 750 or 18K, then you know it's 18-karat gold. You know it's 18-karat gold. And then you take an acid test. If you have the ability to buy those fancy machines that is like a gun that you put next to the thing and point at it, which can give you the molecular breakdown of what's in that chain. You'll get to see how much silver, how much copper, how much gold, etc. is in that, right? It's a machine. You test it. Well, guess what? There are machines that you can test natural versus lab-grown diamonds. We have diamond proof. There is a little bar over there if you have interest in diamond proof. You could actually scan that and okay, I'll stop being a salesperson. You can really actually, if you want to show interest in using it, please do. It's a small machine. You can put it in a retail store. You could test very easily, less than 30 seconds, to see if something is natural or lab-grown. So physically, optically, and chemically exactly identical, but can be tested in 30 seconds to say it's not? They're 2 different products. Nothing wrong with either product, but they have 2 different actual usage for them. One is about relationships, endurance. One, it took more than 1 billion years to become what it has. The other one was made by Uncle so-and-so about a week ago in a factory using various different means of baking and cooking and much electricity to be able to get it to where it is. 2 different products. And it can be tested easily. Now, we talked about how do we actually ensure that we have a product that you can actually test and validate. We need to talk about how do we ensure that this industry that stands for love, endurance, relationships, actually goes above luxury. And that's what diamonds, natural diamonds, really stand for. They stand above luxury. You know, some of you work with some of the high-end brands like Cartier, like Tiffany, like Patek or AP or so on and so forth. You know that they come to your factories and validate what you do. They validate your ethical standings, etc. Well, De Beers, as a mining company, not only validates what they do, what we internally do, to make sure that we do all the right things, but we actually do the same thing for our customers, people who buy from us. If you want to be able to buy a natural diamonds, there's a certain standard that you have to meet in order to be able to buy a natural diamond. Why? Because diamonds are a symbol of eternal love, promise, endurance, relationships, above luxury. And because of that, we actually validate every single one of our customers, more than 2,100 different organizations, our customers and our customers' customers, to make sure that they are doing all things that they're supposed to. We go through 77 different countries to be able to do this. That's what the best practice principles has been doing since 2005. So with the Kimberley process, we were able to ensure that rough diamonds go in an ethical direction and make sure that they get to us in an ethical way and we sell them in an ethical way. And in order for that rough diamond to then be transformed into a polished diamond, De Beers' best practice principles actually focuses on making sure that we do all the right things. There's one guy standing in the back who I'm sure will either appreciate or not appreciate, the CEO of Tracers here. I think you guys are next on this, so I'll try and be as fast as I can. However, if you think about all the things that I've just said, we can tell a natural diamond versus a lab-grown diamond. We know every single country that these diamonds are coming from. Well, how do we tell that story? What do we do to tell that story? Well, we use something like Tracer, not like Tracer, we use Tracer to allow us to be able to actually provide a way that you can actually tell the natural diamond story from a rough to a polish, from a half a carat. We can tell you the origin, where it's been polished, who's touched it, where it's going, all the way to the consumer. And if the consumer ever wants to take that diamond and give it to the next generation and the next generation, that story stays with the diamond. How incredible is that? That you have created a technology that allows you to be able to tell that diamond story for generations to come. To be able to link that diamond to its origin, to its specific actual rough, for generations in the future to be able to see. If you think about it, I said a diamond is how many years old? You're fast. On average, about 1 billion years old. A relationship or a marriage, let's assume on average, a relationship and a marriage and such is about 30 to 40 years old. That diamond that gets handed down from one generation to another, let's hope. And that whole data and information and everything else gets handed down as well. You think about it, 1 billion years old, 30 years, that's like a second in the life history of that natural diamond itself, right? And now you have the ability to be able to take that for generations and generations to come. And that's what Tracer allows us to be able to do. So Wes, thanks for that. So we've talked about supporting local communities. We've talked about giving back to the planet and how we as De Beers do that. We talked about The true stories, I hope that you were able to see some of those true stories and what they mean. And also we talked about trust and sustainability and ethical sourcing. But the one thing we haven't talked about yet are the consumers. What about the consumers? What do they want? What's going on with the consumers? Well, we believe that when you know the origin of a diamond, you can share the natural diamond story to the consumer in a much more effective way, right? You have tracer, you have the mine of origin, you have the actual beautiful product that you've actually been able to take out of the mine and move forward in the value chain and then create a polish. So what you want to do is be able to tell that story to the consumer. Now, it's true. Today, roughly about a third of consumers care about that. It's not a large percentage, right? It's not. But I always say it's not about what the consumers care about. It's about what you do to tell the story that deserves to be told, right? There's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings about natural diamonds. It's time for us to stop those misconceptions and talk about the reality, talk about the truths. And that's what we want to be able to do moving forward. There are some great things that we do as mining companies, that our site holders do as companies that are actually polishing those diamonds, that retailers do for the communities that they're in. We should be proud to talk about these stories. We should allow people to understand how purchasing a natural diamond impacts in a positive way the various different places that these diamonds are from. We know that 65% of the consumers that are buying diamonds today are Gen Z and millennials. We know that in the future, 10 years, 40% of people who buy diamonds are actually Gen Z, right? So we also know that 70% of those Gen Z are not like me. I love buying things for my wife. But the Gen Z people love buying things for themselves. They do. And they love wearing it, and they love talking about it. I saw this beautiful tennis bracelet that a friend of ours was wearing, and I looked at it and I said, wow, that is a beautiful bracelet. She said, oh, I bought this when I had my child. It's the remembrance. It's the fact that something that's 1 billion years old is reminding them of something special in their life. And that is the future of sales for the diamond industry, right? We used to look at sales for natural diamonds about love, marriage, eternalness, commitments, endurance, hardest substance in the world. We still do. But we're evolving that story to bring in the individualism of a person who wants to own that diamond, who deserves to own that diamond, right? A consumer aspires to show their individualism, to talk about why this means something to me. And if you look at every diamond, like every consumer, it has a very different fingerprint, right? Every diamond is very special in its own way, and every diamond can be connected to a single consumer who cares about it. The GIA is standing in the back of this room. Hi. There's a guy in the GIA whom I love and respect tremendously named Tom Moses. If you ask Tom, what does a black PK in this diamond mean, or this unique characteristic that has a little bit of a darker shade or a grayer shade, he'll give you the exact reason why it's there. He'll give you how it got there. He'll tell you how it can actually show how old that diamond is, how a white feather within a diamond is developed, how those little round spherical aspects of a diamond are created. These are all uniqueness, fingerprints of a natural diamond that deserve to have a home with a special consumer who wants to tell that story. And our job is to be able to find that right match between a consumer and a diamond, and to be able to tell that story of the diamond to the consumer so they can repeat it to their friends, but also to the future generations who are going to own that diamond. Only when you share the stories, you can inspire emotions. Was I able to inspire any emotions out of any of you today? Other than, anything else? If I was able to touch just one of you with some of the important key factors of what diamonds do for the world, I would call it a success. Because natural diamonds have such a great story to be able to tell, and they have such a wonderful future as long as we provide that story to the consumers proudly. And I'm going to end this presentation with one of our sorters in Botswana, who I think best talks about what I feel and what a lot of us in our industry feel when he's sorting a rough diamond.
What I love about my job, every diamond is unique and they are akin to humans. They all look the same, but once you put them under a microscope, they each have their own personality. I like to imagine that every diamond is a story waiting to be told. It could be a story of love, of commitment, or heritage. I can imagine what kind of shape they'll end up in and what kind of jewelry they would put into. Sometimes I have a little conversation with the diamonds. Where shall I put you? Where are you going? Which story are you going to tell?
Thank you. So what story can I tell you? Any questions? Wow, I did such a good job that, oh yeah, there's one quote, damn it. Hi. Yes. So we certainly have started doing that in various different countries, and thank you for asking the question. The question was, is De Beers going to be doing advertising?
I asked about advertising, if you are thinking about advertising another way. That,
For sure, yes. Thank you for that question. What De Beers is doing now is starting to collaborate with various different large retailers around the world. So in Asia, in China, we started working with Chow Tai Fook. In the United States, we're working with the Signet Group. And in India, we're working with GJPC. Thank you. With GJPC, who's sitting here, but also with one of the large retailers in India, Tanishq, to actually create marketing that makes sense in each region, right? I love what HSBC once said, think globally, act locally, right? And this is exactly what we're doing. We know that Signet understands the United States. So let's collaborate with them and make sure that we're providing the right type of emotional connection between natural diamonds and the consumer, and do the same thing in other countries. Yeah, thank you for that question. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Microphone. Did I say it right?
Is De Beers thinking of operating in other countries? I'm thinking of Angola.
So we certainly are exploring other countries and various countries, Angola being one of them. But all these things take quite a bit of time to actually be able to get to where we'd like them to get to. I remember my boss many years ago when I was at De Beers said by the time that we actually did the exploration, found a kimberlite that we actually liked, till the time that we actually take the first carat of rough diamond out, usually is about 8 to 10 years. So yes, we are exploring, and we are noticing that there are places that are interesting to consider and look at, and Angola being one of them. Sí, señor.
Great presentation, indeed. One question. In the colored gemstone industry, there are some countries of origin that for some brands, they are not very, how should I say, they are not being used on their collections. For example, Burmese rubies, the Richmond group, they don't use them. In the diamond industry, is there a similar situation for some similar reason?
Well, I can talk about De Beers. De Beers is in Botswana, Namibia, Canada, and South Africa, and Sierra Leone. And I believe that all of those are able to be looked at. But the president of the WDC is here, so would you like to take that question on? Because I think you'd do it a much better justice than I would.
Thank you so much. So great question. I think that what the natural diamond industry has, the colored gem industry doesn't have, is the mechanism that's known as the Kimberley process. And so the Kimberley process creates a set of standards for each country to comply with to be able to participate within the Kimberley process. The only country that was, let's say, embargoed was the Central African Republic, because it could not meet the minimum requirements of the Kimberley process until recently. So we've been working on the Central African Republic and the issues within it for over a decade now under the umbrella of the Kimberley process, and now they have joined at the last plenary as a full participant as a country. Now it's about the businesses that want to source from Central African Republic to add on best practice to be able to sell a diamond from the Central African Republic in a way that it represents the values of the future consumer. So that's the difference between colored gemstones, gold, etc., and the natural diamond industry. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Wonderful. First of all, thank you very much for being in this wonderful warm room that makes me feel like I'm in Sierra Leone. It's lovely. And yes, no problem.
Is there going to be a replay or something like that about your lecture?
I believe the is it recorded, or I don't know. Oh, okay. Yes, Mr. Benson. Microphone, Mr. Benson.
Right. All the seminars that are taking place today, including the next one, which will be Feriel will be the moderator, and I urge you all to stay about the technology of traceability. All of them will be uploaded to Cibjo's YouTube channel. It'll most probably take about 10 days or so, and you'll be able to watch all of them in full.
So the very last thing that I want to do is do a special thank you to someone who's somewhat, I guess you would say, very near and dear to my heart. And you might think that that would be my beautiful wife, and it would be. But third to my wife, because my daughter is also there, would be the godfather of our industry and business, who really puts a lot of passion towards these events and bringing people together and really sharing the knowledge and information about what we're doing in this industry and why it matters and why it's important. So I do want to say thank you to Dr. Cavalieri. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mahiar. Thank you.
And thank you all.
Well, what can I say after an esteemed De Beers high officer calls me Godfather? Adding that, I come from Sicily. So please behave yourself. Well, apart that, I want to thank you very much indeed, Mahiar. And the presentation has been as I was expecting, meaning outstanding. And following this, for what you said, is in the sequence, in the natural sequence, talking about natural diamonds or natural sequence, we will have now, moderated by the Vice President of the BIRS, all the actors of what traceability means. All of them, I think for the first time ever, on stage all together. Why? Because we believe in cooperation. We believe in sharing information. We believe in the way of bringing whatever we can together to the entire industry. So even though we are a little bit ahead of time considering the other session, Stephen, could we go directly on stage with all of you, all of us, even though, okay, set up the chairs meanwhile they're here, and we continue in order to have all of you ready to listen to this very interesting session. But I want again, thank you very much, Mahiar.
Thank you.
For giving us all those information that are spread out first time ever.
Thank you very much.
Since you took the position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.